All right, so you have questions about moving to Spain or Portugal, and we have answers here at This Iberian Life. So we're going to have a great conversation today about contrasting the two biggest cities in Portugal, Porto and Lisbon. And so as my guest today, we have Rafael Nunes from Porto, and representing Lisbon, we have Bernardo Bleck.
The capital.
Yeah, the capital. All right, so right off the bat, he's talking about the contrast.
Immediately.
Okay, so expats are watching. Expat is considering buying property either to live in or for investment here in Portugal. Why should they choose Lisbon?
So Lisbon being the capital of the country, both politically and financially, as an investment market, it's the safest bet you can get in Portugal, basically. It's the strongest real estate market. It's the strongest work market. And it has everything to offer. Weather, culture, beach life, country life. If you want to take strolls up to the park of Lisbon called Monsanto, so it's the lung of Lisbon, you can actually hike, bike, trail, do whatever you want. Walk alongside the river front, or just go to swim at the beach. So it has it all, good restaurants, good people, amazing vibes.
Yeah, it's a spectacular city. Contrast this with Porto, though.
Okay, that's interesting because I'm representing Porto. I live in Porto for 6 years, but I'm not from Porto.
Okay.
And I chose Porto because I wanted to come to Portugal and to invest on the real estate market. And the first thing not the first thing, but after talking to a lot of people, I understood that in Porto, the prices of properties, they are lower, while the rents not necessarily that lower. So I had an understanding that the investment perspective was very good in Porto. And since Porto was not well developed as Lisbon, which is the capital, the first mover, and etc., the appreciation potential of the properties would be higher than Lisbon, which has always been a more mature market than Porto. But these two options, which is the options that I work with my clients, like whether to live or to invest in Porto, I believe that, first of all, is the difference that Porto is not a mini Lisbon. So that's something really important to say, that it is the second city, but we generally connect Lisbon to the south, a little warmer, the service center, the capital, and etc. Porto, it's a capital of the north, which has a full characteristic of city for someone who wants to live abroad in the European lifestyle, but more in a cozy lifestyle. I generally do a comparison that I say that the rivers of each city, they tell about the cities themselves. The Tagus River is a big river and etc. Sometimes it can look like it's the ocean, while the Douro River, it's cozy. You can feel that you are living inside of the river and etc. So I think that the lifestyles of the city, even though you are in Portugal, they are different. They are not the same. So I think there are people that Lisbon, everyone loves Lisbon. I love Lisbon. Everyone likes Lisbon. But it's a busier city, like you're living in a big city. When you go to Porto, I say that you can have like something more like an exclusive experience, more quieter lifestyle and etc. Because I believe that yet in a city that you have the options to have great restaurants and etc., the good experience of a city that's like for the world, but in a smaller environment, in a quieter experience.
So it seems like expats are looking, in both cities right now.
Uh-huh.
When you're working with an expat client, what aspects of Lisbon do you find that they're most attracted to?
So usually, for me, is first trying to understand what's their wants and needs, what they are looking for when they move here. So will they bring their families, the kids? Will they go to school here? Would they prefer to go to a Portuguese school or to international school? What kind of lifestyle do they have? So to better explain to them all of the different neighborhoods of Lisbon. Some are more family friendly, some are more for younger folks that want to experience the nightlife and the busy noise of the streets and the honking throughout the city. So once I understand what the family really wants, what the client wants, I will show them around the city through some of the neighborhoods, and I will advise them to go and try it out. Try a day on that neighborhood. Go to the restaurants, go to the coffee shops, ask for this, ask for that, try this, try that. Talk to this shop owner, go to the park, have a coffee, meet somebody. And you will feel that we are very warm, very welcoming. And especially, nobody will look at you as an outsider. Everyone will welcome you in. So people are willing to help you out. So I actually did this yesterday with a client, an American client from Washington. They came with the entire family came to Portugal. And they decided to first rent, and in a year's time they will buy a property here. So they came to me out of nowhere. They chose me, and she asked me, where should I live? And I told her, so how many kids do you have? 3 kids. Okay, let's try, for instance, either Campo de Rico or Alvalade. And she chose Alvalade. We visited the house, we closed the house, and after the visit, I just told her, now walk 5 minutes, go to this coffee shop and ask for this and that. One called pastel de massa terra and the other one a slice of strawberry cake. And she immediately loved it. She called me after, I'm bringing my husband back. And she's there today actually with her husband for a lunch date. So basically knowing the city and its neighborhoods, and Rafael knows Porto. I don't know Porto so well. Rafael will know Porto better than me. But knowing Lisbon and knowing where to advise people to go, what to experience, is the most helpful.
Okay. And when you find people moving, so we'll talk about, like, do you see a lot of digital nomads taking?
A lot of them, usually younger people, but it's a different profile. They don't usually come immediately to buy or to do long-term rentals. They will come for a midterm, like 3 months, 6 months. And some of them are in the mood just to try out different cities in the world, in Europe. So Porto, Lisbon, Porto, Madrid, Barcelona, whatever, Ibiza, depending on the age. But it's a different vibe. Nowadays, we are seeing a lot of families that work from home for US companies or whatever part of the world they are from. And they really appreciate our infrastructure and our fast internet connections and everything the city has to offer that allows them to stay at home doing their work and enjoy life outside of the office easily. So Portugal has this to offer.
So walk me through the expat experience in Porto that you're seeing. Like what areas are there certain neighborhoods that are best suited for expats in Porto?
Yeah, I would separate these in 3 branches, let's say. There are some expats that they want to have the lifestyle of the city center, of the historical life, like living in Europe, old buildings, walking around, I don't want the car, and etc. So these, they are going to be like surrounding the main city center of Porto. So that's the region where you have Sedofeita, Bonfim, which is a very upcoming neighborhood. It's not the main center of the city center itself, but it's between the city center and the main train station in town where people come from abroad and etc. from Lisbon. And Bonfim, you have the old streets with trees, those old houses that has been renovated to some apartments and etc. Little hidden cafes and etc. So this is one branch, I would say, like the city center lifestyle. The other is, no, I want to be like in the best neighborhoods, wealthiest neighborhoods in Porto, and where the river meets the sea, which is at Foz. And IT is generally saying that Foz is our little Cascais, which is like...
It has amazing croissants.
Yeah, it's
I know that coffee shop.
Yeah,
I went there when I was in Porto last time.
That's a very cozy place. These are the more expensive properties. You have Foz Velha with some old houses and some new developments that they have the high-end prices and etc. So these are for the people that say, no, I want to be like the more exclusive, close to the sea and etc. This should be the region. And the regions that they are connected to Porto, because when we talk to Porto, I think it's the most that you said about Lisbon, that Lisbon now is already connecting Lisbon, Cascais, and etc. When we talk about Porto, the city of Porto now, we cannot talk about Porto without talking about Matosinhos and Vila Nova de Gaia. So Vila Nova de Gaia is at the other side of the river, and Matosinhos is like the continuation of the beach of Foz, okay? What do you have? People that want like new developments, like a bigger condo, a different lifestyle, like living with families in new buildings, fully new constructed buildings, very nice quality of life close to the beach, because both Matosinhos and Gaia has this lifestyle. And these cities, because they are cities, but they are, I generally say that all these places in Porto, you are 15 minutes. When I don't know, how long does it take to get from here to down? 15 minutes. Generally not more than that. And the subway is being expanded in Porto and Gaia and etc. Anyway, so I separate these three branches of the city center, the Foz and surrounding region, which is generally the heart of Porto, but not the city center lifestyle, and Matosinhos and Vila Nova de Gaia, where the new developments are. And just one point also that we are talking about, how do people choose between Lisbon and Porto? I generally say that if it is to invest, generally, I would say that I'm in Porto, and this is my thesis. It's not hard that I show to people Porto is great for investment. But I think when it is to live, people know if they like Porto or if they like Lisbon. I was with a family, American family, that the wife is from Mumbai, they lived in London, New York. They are buying in Porto a property to invest, but they want to buy to live in Lisbon. And they said, Rafael, we don't even think about it. This is Lisbon, because we like to be like in the metropolitan lifestyle, and that's no doubt on that. So I don't even see a bigger competition. Generally, when people are to leave, I have some other people that they say, no, I don't like Lisbon, I love Porto. Like, I don't see the competition in terms of, oh, I have to explain between Porto and Lisbon, because the characteristics of the lifestyle that people are searching for, I think it gets clear very easily
Where they should
between
live.
Porto and Lisbon.
Yeah.
Let's get a little more practical. So a expat is moving to Portugal. They have 800,000 euros to invest. Where, describe the type of options that they would have in Lisbon.
So if they want a new building, a new development, we can offer them brand new apartments units in 2-bedroom units in several of the best neighborhoods of Lisbon. But I can also recommend stretching a bit out from the city center into the Carcavelos area, or Oeiras, or even Cascais, where we can get more modern units for that price point, or even brand new ones.
And then at that pace, if you're in Cascais, if you're working in the city, are you taking the train into the city?
You can actually take the train into Lisbon, or just drive into Lisbon. It's easy, without traffic, of course, everything considering no traffic at all. It's 20 minutes drive from Cascais center to Lisbon center, across the ocean, and you are in front of the ocean the entire way into Lisbon. And if you come closer to Lisbon, the route will be faster. And there's a train connecting the center of Cascais, passing all through those cities like Carcavelos and Oeiras and Paredes, into Lisbon center. So, and here, once you arrive in Lisbon, you get out of the train, walk into the subway. It's the same station, and from there you go to any parts of the city, everywhere.
And Porto. So 800,000 euro budget in Porto. What are the options?
Generally, we have to consider that since Porto is smaller than Lisbon, if there is a really narrow search for, let's say, if the client says, I want to buy an apartment at Foz, the reality is not going to be that difference, because this is really a very narrow niche. But generally, it doesn't work like that, because Porto is smaller. So if you stretch a little bit on that, like for 800,000 euros, you can buy a very good 4-bedroom in the best neighborhoods in town. You can buy, if you get like some new developments that you have in places like Matosinhos and Gaia, that you are like 10, 15 minutes from downtown. You can buy even a new penthouse. I was visiting at this last week, like penthouses in a project that you are facing the river in Gaia, but like 2 minutes from the bridge to Porto, that you take like 7 minutes to be in town. And you have like a penthouse 3 and 4-bedroom for 800K, and the apartment is ready. I'm not saying that you are buying that off plan. You end up getting more for the money because that's it. It's you're gonna get a little cheaper than that.
Okay, great options. How about food? Like if you were going to define Porto by like a singular dish, what do you define? How are you?
Francesinha, right?
Basic.
That's it. Wow, it's fun because I think that Portugal, for me that I'm from abroad, it's good that I see Portugal as, my clients say that like, it's the paradise to eat in terms of great food for great price. And when I say great price is that now I think that differently from the past. Now you have all the price ranges in Portugal.
Yeah.
You can spend as much as you do somewhere else, but the base scenario, like to eat well, for example, the francesinha, it's a simpler dish. What I see from the difference of the main foods from the north to the south is, as the north is a little colder, I think the foods you have some stronger, they are heavier. In francesinha, that's the case. Right, francesinha is a blend of bread, of cheese, of ham, of sausage, meat.
Yes.
So it's that food, and it's very famous and it's very traditional from the north.
And in Lisbon?
So Lisbon is best known. It's not properly a dish. It's a pastry called pastel de nata.
Yes.
So we are the home to the world famous pastéis de nata called pastéis de Belém by the riverfront. But if we could consider a dish, expats love a simple dish that every housewife does in their homes for the kids. It's called bacalhau à Brás. Basically, it's codfish, boneless, so there's no danger in eating this codfish, mixed with very thin slices of potato that it's deep fried, mixed with eggs and some parsley to finish it on top with some onion. And it's amazing. It's quite a simple dish, very warming, and everybody likes it. Grown-ups, kids, everybody enjoys it.
So does Porto have an amazing wine scene? You would assume, right, the world famous Porto wine,
Yes.
but then also your access to the Douro Valley.
Yes.
Portugal, when you compare it with a country like the United States or Canada, it's a small country.
Yeah, very.
Does the proximity to the Douro Valley and then the prevalence of Porto wine make it a better wine city than Lisbon?
It's hard to say that because there are several, I think, different characteristics of the wines in Portugal. What we have in Porto is that the connection to the Douro River, like you are 1.5 hours to great wineries where you visit, you try it. And of course that in Porto we have this Douro wine. But I talked to some very good friends that I would say they are very good experts in wine. And they say that regarding the taste that you have, the price range that you have, like throughout Portugal, it mostly can be fully covered throughout the country. So I wouldn't say that Porto would be best. What I say is that the Porto wine is a richness for the city, the experience, the wines itself. Like the white Porto wine, it's something that I found out after I came to live here and I just love it. So I think there are some characteristics from the region, but I wouldn't say that it's best than the other ones.
Lisbon, we drink a lot of wine. We don't actually produce wine. We have the outskirts of Lisbon, like Alenquer region and Torres Vedras region. They produce great wines, but the wineries of Portugal are basically the Douro region and the North region. Because of the land characteristics, the hills and so on. And the other part is the south, Alentejo. With its plains and the warm weather produces a different kind of wine. Some people consider the Alentejo wine to be a lot more powerful, more embodied wine than the Douro wine. But Lisbon itself doesn't have wine. It drinks a lot of wine.
All right, I grew up in a town, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We're very much defined by our football team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think you meet people from anywhere. Mm-hmm. In the United States, they understand what a Steeler fan is like. Is Porto defined by their their football team, their soccer team, and likewise, you have two major teams in Lisbon. But do either of them really define the city in your mind?
All of places in the world, if they have a sports team, they can be defined by those sports teams. Like you were saying, the fans, you will know a fan when you meet one. And Porto is exactly the same, and so is Lisbon. The difference is Porto has one big team, Lisbon has two big teams. So there's a lot of rivalry between both Lisbon teams and Lisbon teams against Porto. Celebration-wise, when we see someone winning the national championship, the celebrations are exactly the same way. People get out in the streets. In Porto, they will go to Aliados, the square, and in Lisbon, both teams will go to Marquês de Pombal, the city center. And all of the traffic is stopped by the police forces, and everyone stays up all night celebrating and jumping and having parties. It's basically that.
Well, I believe that there is, I think that in Porto, since it's one football team, and I think that Porto has been an upcoming team in the last, let's say, 20 or 30 years, because in the past, I think that Porto team was not one of the big teams of Portugal.
Over the last 50 years.
50 years, yeah. Right? So I see a lot that, and I think that the team itself represents a lot of the behavior of the people of the city in terms of being like an underdog that fighting to be better because of the group, because we don't have the best, let's say, we are not as wealthy as, let's say, Benfica, which is the biggest, has always been the biggest team. And so I think that this behavior is surrounding the team. They have like the Dragon Stadium, which represents the city. So I think there is a lot of connection on that.
So let's talk one more practical thing, which is going to be mortgages. So the act of actually buying a property. So an expat comes, they want to buy in Porto, Lisbon. Walk me through, is it easy to get a mortgage? My understanding is, rates right now are in the 2 to 3% range, which people watching from the United States, as we're filming this in February 2025, are going to find bonkers.
Yeah.
Is it easy to get a mortgage as an expat?
Totally. We just did it with a fellow American. It works basically the same. We will have mortgage brokers in our agencies. We belong to the same group that's spread throughout the country. So the process is basically the same. We will set you up with our mortgage broker. They will require from you a lot of information, your financials, your work situation, and so on. And usually within a week or two, depending on if you have all of your paperwork already done to submit, within a week or two, you will get a final approval, basically, a pre-approval from several banks. So you just need to choose one, which one you want to work with, and afterwards, we just go out and shop.
Yeah, and the good news is that being non-resident, being a foreigner, generally you can get like 70%, sometimes even 80%, depends on the case. So this is one fact that, and I have a personal story that I lived in Brazil and I tried to apply for I want to have an idea for a bank loan, and then I was presented to a credit broker and they did that. And when I saw the offer, and I was like, okay, let's make a phone call with the manager of the bank. And then I made a phone call and I started to make a lot of questions, and she was answering like with simple questions. Yes, it is. No, it's approved. Yes, and I was like, is that all? Can we move forward? Yeah. Don't you need like a process and etc.? So I think there is a bureaucracy that sometimes clients get bothered, because that's what he said. You must have the paperwork. So it depends on what you work with, what you can, the proof of earnings and etc. But apart from that, this is something that makes Portugal very, very welcoming for the investors and
our mortgage brokers already are very used to working with foreigners. Yeah. So they know if you are from the States or either from Brazil or whatever in Europe, they already know what documents they will need to ask, and you will understand those requests, so you can actually submit them.
Yep. And so when you're buying a home in Portugal, it's important to remember that the upfront tax, if you're coming from the United States, it's going to seem very high, right? About 5, 6, 7% on the upfront tax.
So the taxes that the government charges on each property, there are two main taxes. One, it's called the municipal transfer tax. So when the tax that you pay to transfer the property to your name, and the stamp tax. So the municipal transfer tax is around 8%, but there are some deductibles, and it varies between the purchase price, of course.
Yeah, there are ranges, right?
There are ranges. So within those ranges, if we are buying a property within up to 250 or up to 400 and so on and so forth, the deductibles will start obviously to decrease a bit. But you can actually do a quote online easily.
Okay.
And I don't know the numbers by heart. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Well, no worries. Here's the contrast, though, right? So upfront costs high, but the carrying costs are extremely low. My understanding is 800,000 euro home. You're probably spending less than 1,000 euros a year on taxes,
on
right?
municipal taxes. Yeah, it's around on an 800,000 euros property, you'll pay around 800.
So that's it. So you have to really look at the break even. And my guess is 4 to 5 years, you're going to be, it'll take you to break even because of the lower interest rate, because of the lower monthly taxes, and then the lower insurance costs. Because my understanding,
Much lower.
Insurance, right?
And HOA fees.
Yeah,
Much
HOA
lower.
fees. So the actual day-to-day costs, right? The carrying costs are much lower in both of the countries we cover here, Spain and Portugal. So it's important though, because Americans have gotten accustomed to buying and selling properties on a every couple year basis. You don't want to do that over here because you have to calculate the break even. You're going to get that either through appreciation or just through paying the lower carrying costs. So, all right, this has been a great conversation.
You're welcome.
Anyone interested in speaking with Rafael or Bernardo, where our contact information is all on the screen right now, and questions about living in Spain or Portugal, buying property, This Iberian Life, we've got you covered. All right, thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you, Bernardo. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.